This is the Art Cafe's Second Life Building Basics tutorial part 3. In this tutorial we're going to talk about object textures. We're going to change the textures of your default primitives. We're going to show you how to upload an image onto Second Life, say from Photoshop or PowerPoint, put it into your object. And then we should also talk about what a texture face is. So the very first thing we need to do is we need to res an object to the ground. So you do that, of course, by going to Build, at the very top, get your building menu out, and I'm going to choose a default cube and click on the ground to res it. Now I want this object to be a little bit bigger so we can all see. So I'm going to click on the Stretch tool, and grabbing one of the white handles, I'm going to then stretch it by clicking on the Stretch and grabbing one of the white handles to make it really big. So now you can see that our box is on the ground. Alright, now under the Textures tab, you see you have General, Object, Features, Textures. There is two boxes here. One says the texture and one's the color. So as you can see, the texture here that we have is kind of like a wood-like texture, and the color is white. This kind of means like the default color, so it's whatever color the texture is. So if you wanted to change this, you can click on the color box, and then there is a scale, or you can just choose one letter. So if I clicked on this mint green, my box will then be mint green. I click on red, the box will then be red. But as you can tell, it also keeps the same, whatever texture was in it. So it still has the wood grain on it. So if you wanted your box to have a yellow wood look to it, that's one way you can do it. Okay. Now say you didn't like the way that texture looked. How do you get a new one? Well, Second Life comes established with some textures already. You could also go purchase textures from various free shops or from places that sell them. You could make your own by making a picture in Photoshop or PowerPoint and then importing it. But right now I'm going to show you how to do a texture that is default with the system. So what you need to do is you click on the texture button, and it brings up this pick texture box. See, then all the things that are loaded up in this area here, these are all textures. In order for you to get a texture, all you do is find one you like. For example, I have gotten some from free, and you can tell it's a texture by having the little checkerboard box icon there, and it shows you kind of a window of what your new texture will look like. So this is like a little spider web looking thing. So if you had a nice picture that you wanted to use from, say, you got it off of Google and you saved it into here, you can apply it to your object by simply clicking on it. Okay. Now our box has a new texture. Again, if you didn't like the way this color was, you can change your color. So if I want it to be a blue pattern like that, you can do there. And if you didn't like the way that your colored was, you can always click on white, and it's the default. So here is our new texture. And just to show it again, I will select a new texture for this. So you click on the object, make sure it's selected. You click on the texture button. Then you click on the texture that you want. So I'm going to try this free metal textures box I got. And I'm going to see what it looks like when I change it to this I-beam. And then select OK, and you have a completely new texture. Is that very simple? Now, here comes an interesting point when you say you didn't want to have the entire cube to have that look. Say you wanted to have, one texture on this side, and then a completely different texture on that side. So how do you make it have different textures? Because right now, even if you say were to go up, it has the texture wrapped around all sides. Well, the way that you do that is called selecting faces. So right now when you click on the cube, the entire cube is selected. But if you click on this button here, it says select face, you can choose only what side of the box gets selected. So I want to select the top. So I'm going to look up the top. I'm going to move my camera so I can see it. And then using the select face button, I'm going to select just the top face. Now, I can change the texture and the color of just that particular area. So I'm going to then change that texture to something different, say this one. And you can see that it changes its type, its texture. And then let's say I wanted to have this side here to be blue. I then click on, I use the select face, I click on the face I want, and then I change the color to blue. Now it's got the same texture, but that side's blue. And this side I'm going to keep, and on the one on the back, I'm going to change it completely. And change it to something more like this. And pink. All right. That is how you change your textures. Also how you can change the color of your textures and how to select individual faces so not the entire cube gets selected. Now, what if you had a texture that you had made your own and you wanted to import it? Say you had a PowerPoint slide or you had a image from Photoshop that you wanted to make a texture. Well, how do you import that? It's very easy. What you need to do is you have to click on the Build tab at the very top. Then you need to select the Upload feature. Notice you can upload many things. You can upload images, sounds, animations, or bulk. What bulk means is that you can upload many images all at once. But for this particular demonstration, I'm going to just upload one image. And as you can tell, it says $10. This means that it costs 10 Linden dollars for you to upload an image. You can tell how many Linden dollars you have by looking at the very top, and it has like your amount. Currently I have 1,976. So in order to upload an image, you click on that feature. This brings up a window that has all of just a folder navigation window where you can select your images. These are all the images I wanted to upload. However, I'm just going to do one. I'm going to upload the image that says Student Gallery 1 BMP. So I just click on that. This was an image that I made in Photoshop, and I saved it as a bitmap or JPEG. Under the name, you can give it a name. I want to keep it Student Gallery 1. However, I'm going to also put the word test next to it, just so I know that this is a demonstration piece. You could type in a description here if you wanted to give it further clarification. And then all you got to do is click Upload. What this does is it converts your image file into a texture file. Okay? And this is kind of what it looks like at the very end. You click OK. And note that it now went into the area where it says textures. So under your inventory, you click on your inventory, you find the box called textures, which is here, and it should be the very first one you had. There it is. There's your texture. Now how do you get it from here, your inventory, over to your area? Well, you do it the same way you loaded the other textures. You have to edit the object. That's the object I want to have edit. I'm going to then, where it says texture, I'm going to click on it. And then I'm going to go find that file in this particular window. So I know that's under textures. So I'm going to open up the textures box. And then there it is, the Student Gallery 1 test. So you can't drag it over from your inventory. You have to find it using the texture selector. And you click OK. Now see what happens when I did that. Everything is now every face now has that texture on it, which may be what you want, it may not be what you want. This is actually not what I want. I want to have just this particular face to have it now. So to kind of reinforce how you do that, I'm going to then make this box something completely different. I'm going to make it into, it just froze for a second, not to worry. Sometimes your computer can be a little bit laggy after a while of using it. So if that happens to you, don't worry. Okay, there you go. The way I got rid of everything is I clicked on where it said blank. I made everything blank. Okay. Now, using the same way that we did before with the other textures, I'm going to now select a face. I want just this face to have it. So I click on select face, and then click on that side. Now I click on my textures button, and I find my texture. Which is under the textures folder, under Student Gallery 1. And now just that image has it. Well, that completes the tutorial of how to upload an image into Second Life, how to manipulate the textures of an object, how to place your textures only on one face, and how to then take your images from, say, Photoshop and then